You actually have better odds to be an NBA basketball player than the founder of a billion-dollar company.
Where do you even start?
It all comes down to execution. It's just that ability to keep asking questions, never make it personal.
Please deconstruct.
No comment.
The best part of having Kathy Hilton as a mother-in-law.
Never a dull moment.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I have the world's greatest wife.
If you don't say that when I'm not around.
What do you look for and what do you find to be the most effective pitches?
Really excited and really anxious and scared at the same time.
What does that look like for both of you?
I don't think we necessarily see it the same.
I want to go back. We talked about your childhood on the other episode, but how did you guys get along when you were little? What was the dynamic? Was one brother always the entrepreneur and the other one a troublemaker? What was the energy?
Great question. I don't know. I think when we were kids, believe it or not, like the E word, like entrepreneur was never thrown around. Like no one even, maybe if you had a lemonade stand, but no one even called it being an entrepreneur. So I didn't think of it that way. But I do think in some ways, your parents always sacrifice so much for you. I think our parents, are more, did more jobs where they had, my dad had, 3 jobs over 50 years, essentially. Like no one does that anymore, right? So they didn't take as many risks, so we could, is something I genuinely believe.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had an older brother. He was smart. He was the star athlete. He kind of paved the way. So he set a high bar. But it was also pretty cool because when I was in 8th grade, he would take me to high school parties, or in summer of 8th grade, I played on the varsity soccer team. So, people always ask me what it's like working with your brother. And I say, or any family, right? Husband, wife, or things like that. But I think Courtney and I played so many sports growing up, we would always try to pass to the other and let that person score, or vice versa. So we always grew up as teammates, right? And so I think that's why we work well together on the business side.
But going back to childhood, because I do want to say, I'm the oldest, and we have a younger sister, 2.5 years apart. And then our sister Hallie is almost exactly within a week of 2.5 years younger than my brother. I don't think I was a bad kid by any means. You can chime in, Carter, but I was very mischievous. So I definitely made the mistake for on behalf of Carter. So I think I did a lot of stuff where he's like, might want to avoid that, or you did that, so I'm going to learn from it. So I hope I did give you that.
You can be
gift.
honest. Who's mom and dad's favorite child?
Probably you, but that's because
All
I made the
right,
mistakes.
I'll take it.
It's you.
It's factually accurate. Yeah.
Middle child
were you
stuff.
guys always this smart? You're both smart. That's how I think that's the first word I would use to describe both of you.
I think it pains me to give Carter too many compliments, but I feel like it's going to happen over the course of this podcast. But I think, there's smart, and then there's kind of like when people say, oh, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. I think Carter's probably on the rocket scientist vein. I'm like in the Chicago public school smart. I had to convince myself there's worse things than being average at Goldman Sachs. Like I'm smart enough. It's like the Malcolm Gladwell. I'm over the Mendoza line, probably not as far as I'd like to be.
So why do you describe him as rocket smart?
Yeah, what does that mean?
In the distinction between you being just smart, but what is that next level? Why do you ascribe that quality to him?
I think sometimes you don't know it till you see it. Like I think I thought I was really smart growing up, and we went to a private school in elementary school because it was small, and we were, I think, smarter than some of the other kids and didn't have to try out hard. And then you go to a good school or work at certain places, and then you're like, oh wow, that's the next level. And regardless of what you think of the Elon Musk of the world, who's personality wise, I think we can argue that's that's a quantum jump in how people think and how they process. And I've witnessed it firsthand, like at places like Goldman Sachs or Harvard or Columbia, where people just literally process things at another level, and I'm just like, I'm tapped out. And I think Carter's pretty close to that.
Is it hard when you're around people that aren't as smart as you guys? Don't lie. What's the conversation behind the scenes? You both just looked at each other.
That's why, sometimes on WhatsApp, you can fast forward the message because you just need to ingest it faster.
Yeah.
Right? So now there's technology that allows you to speed people up.
You process really quick, huh?
Yeah, I think I always tell people I treat my brain like a weaker version of the Facebook algorithm, right? All of us through life, we take in all these data points, and the smartest people tend to just form patterns faster. They see 2 steps ahead and things like that. And so, I always tell people when you see a data point, it's just a data point, but your brain processes very quickly, and then all of a sudden it's a pattern, and then it's the data point. So, you can always tell the people that can just process
I think
faster.
we both process really fast. I'm probably more like a 64 gig bit iPhone. It's sometimes it just craps out, and he kind of has the 128 gig. So sometimes he keeps going where I'm like, I'm out. But I think, not to go down the AI rabbit hole, hopefully, but depending on where you think the world and jobs and everything's going, what's left. There's the people who are rocket science level smart, and then there's things like interpersonal relations, right? And other things that are not going to be measured by a NVIDIA chip or GPUs. And I'm definitely focusing on the latter at this point.
What are you guys not good at?
Great question. I've never been asked that, and I've never honestly even thought about it.
Always truth and jest, but
What are you not good at?
Well, the thing that I try to figure out is like traditionally I've not had a dimmer switch, I say, right? I'm either kind of all in, it's kind of black or white, or all in. Like I don't know how to kind of go at a slower pace. Like if I want something or I'm driven to something, I just go, and I go fast and I go hard. And so, yeah, I've always thought it could be.
I feel like that's a good thing, though, not a thing that you're
it's
not
like an
good at.
interview question. You always say a good thing when they ask you about something you need to
there
improve.
it
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
you could be a better listener.
For those that are for those that maybe miss Courtney's first episode, you should definitely go check it out. We covered a ton of ground. There's a great episode. But for those that are unfamiliar with you guys, I'm going to give kind of a bullet point, but I want you to clarify this. You two founded M13, which is, I think, arguably one of the most successful venture funds ever, right? And you guys were very early on. Name some of the early businesses that were the greatest successes.
Early on, let's see, we've been the first investor in about 12 different unicorns, so billion-dollar companies, things like Rothy's and Ring, things like FabFitFun, all kinds of great businesses.
Coinbase,
that's probably a huge one. Yeah. So, anyways, and you guys founded that business together and scaled it together. I think there's many people listening that are fascinated with that world, and then I think also talking about the dynamic of working with family. What do you think initially in the early days created such momentum and success for that venture? And I wonder if this is applicable to kind of anything.
Yeah, to me, it comes down to everybody wants to overcomplicate life, but at the end of the day, I think it's pretty simple, right? You have to have a strong vision, right? Whether it's a consumer business or what we do, then you have to be able to recruit really talented people, right? And at the time you have to recruit those, right? You have no reason to be able to get that type of talent, but you have to inspire as a leader, right? And then to me, it all comes down to execution, right? So at M13, we had this very differentiated model about how we were going to build a venture firm with people who had operational backgrounds, that were operators instead of investors. And today at the firm, we have 46 people and we have 12 investors, 3 times as many people that wake up and go to bed every day to help our portfolio companies. So we had a different vision. Then we had to go persuade really talented people that they should come and share that vision. We had to inspire, and then it just comes down to execution in my mind.
How does one even know how to start a venture fund? Like where do you even start? Is this something that you literally just Googled, or did you have a mentor? Like how do you start one?
How did we start it? I mean, I think it started with we had taken some proceeds of other things that we had started because we founded a couple companies that have thankfully done pretty well. And so we redeployed that money into different startups, and some of those started to really do well. So I don't think, or at least I can say, I didn't necessarily have the vision or the desire to ever have a venture capital firm. But eventually, if you have enough good investments and they have returns, and you bring some interesting people in and create synergies by bringing this person to this company, it's a two-way value add. They say, hey, great, you should think about doing a fund.
But we always talk about it, right? The definition of entrepreneurship, regardless of what you do, is being asked every single day to do something you've never done before, right? So I remember when we started Vive, got to remember the internet was barely around. And so, Courtney was living in Australia and he would Google America's best distilleries. And then you just call and ask questions, right? And so much about life is having that growth mindset, right? And just wanting to learn and wanting to figure it out, kind of like MacGyver back in the old days. And so whether it's an alcohol brand, what you guys do, a venture firm, it's just that ability to keep asking questions and keep getting data points. And then you get a little smarter, right? I still remember, the first time someone came to due diligence at our office, they asked questions. And I said, I don't actually know what you're talking about, so I'm going to have to get back to you next week. And he laughs about that 5 years later, because clearly I know now today what he was talking about back then, but I had no idea. But I was humble enough to know, we'll go figure that out. That was a new question. Never gone that one before.
But I think so much of it is actually, in the world we live in now, there's no shortage of data and information. What most people struggle with, myself included sometimes, and I consider myself hyper-organized, is how to distill it down, how to cut through the clutter, how to simplify. And so much of it, there's things that won't be able to be outsourced in a world like, I think one of our superpowers is actually not knowing the answer, but knowing who or what to go to get the answer. And I think that's a really lost skill.
When people are, there are a lot of people that listen to this show are entrepreneurs or thinking about creating an endeavor, and the conversation of capital comes up all the time and how to pitch investors. And sometimes it gets asked to me, and I don't classify myself as I've made investments, but I'm not a professional investor. When founders or entrepreneurs come to you guys to pitch, what do you look for and what do you find to be the most effective pitches? Like, if you were going to dumb it down and say, like, this is the stuff that just goes right over our head, we start disregarding it.
I need some tips.
And this is the stuff that gets our attention. Because I think that, like, people just don't know where, it's overwhelming for a lot of
Like,
people.
do I wear a low-cut shirt? Like, or is that against me? Should I wear a turtleneck?
Do I wear a low-cut shirt?
Yeah, what do you...
Someone needs to wear a low-cut shirt, but I'll leave that to you too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, give us the real details.
I think I gave some thoughts on this on the last episode. People should listen. I want to hear what Carter's thoughts are, because I don't think we necessarily see it the same.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think it's like, to me, it's inspiring, right? Especially when you're talking about starting a business, right? In our book, Shortcut Your Startup, that we wrote years ago, we talk about you actually have better odds to be an NBA basketball player than the founder of a $1 billion company. That's crazy. Think about how hard it is to be an NBA basketball player.
And those
it's
odds are
actually
pretty
easy.
low based on high demographics, other things, so it's lower.
And so, right, all the odds are stacked against you, right? Like the math in venture capital is about 2 to 3% of the companies end up being unicorns, right? $1 billion plus companies. So it's like winning the Powerball. And so to me, it's those entrepreneurs that can inspire, because again, you have to inspire investors like us to give you money. And then you're like, oh shoot, I got the money. Okay, now I got to go inspire people to join the team. And along the way, then you got to go sell your product somewhere, whether that's in a store or into the enterprise. And so now you got to inspire them, that first customer, right? So much of the journey is, can you inspire people to believe in this vision, right? I mean, you think about all these great businesses, Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, all this stuff. I mean, if someone had walked up to you 14 years ago, Brian Chesky, and said, oh, this is going to be really cool. You can rent out your couch.
Well,
Like,
and your air bed and breakfast, right?
yeah, exactly.
So
But
small.
again, he had a vision. It wasn't, right? The idea always pivots and evolves, but he kept inspiring. He got capital, he got people, and he just kept that forward momentum.
When you guys are so much behind the scenes, because you kind of have been behind the scenes pretty much your whole life, and then it pivots and you're not behind the scenes.
Who's not behind the scenes?
I don't think you're behind the scenes. I mean,
you guys are more front-facing now than maybe in the early days
you've
of the...
become more front-facing.
Courtney's a little
I don't
more
know if you've
front-facing.
been forced to be front-facing.
You're on a television
I just
show.
saw him on a red carpet recently, so I don't know if we can say he's behind the scenes.
I mean, to
No,
be
he's not
fair-
anymore. That's what I'm saying. How has that been? You guys are so used to being behind the scenes, behind all these companies, and then all of a sudden, you guys have to pivot and be in front of the scenes. How is that?
I think for me, it's not about front or behind. It's kind of like, what do you want to be known for, right? And
Right.
in a town like LA or whoever else listening, New York, Miami, like, I want enough notoriety in the places and the arenas I want it, among the people I want it, and nothing else. Like, so for someone who either doesn't know me or assumes something or is in some area that doesn't interest me, so I think it's just about most of the decisions I make now, whether it's to come on a podcast or write another book or do this interview, it usually comes down to, is that adding something to some new pool of things where I would like to have some notoriety, or is this just like gratuitous, or am I doing it for the wrong reasons?
What's it been like for you?
I think I'm still behind the scenes. It's a bit of a bummer these days, because now when I go to the farmer's market, my wife tells me I have to wear a baseball cap, because what happens is my wife will be wearing a wig and sunglasses, a hat, and people will be staring at her. And then we look, and then the person's looking down at their phone, and they're definitely Googling Paris Hilton's husband, and then they're going like this back and forth to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, we've been outed. We got to
You're
keep
the
moving.
one that
Yeah,
gets,
exactly.
you're blowing the cover now.
I'm blowing the cover. But,
Yeah.
I think it's one of the reasons why my wife and I work so well, which is she's in front of the scenes and she knows that I like to be behind the scenes. Up until we got married, I think I'd only walked one red carpet in my life with her. And it was mostly just because that's her world and I have my world. And we come together as great teammates a lot of times. But I think she liked that. Like, again, I didn't want to be famous. I just wanted to do my job, be a good human being.
But I think my brother, if I may deconstruct, since this is
Please,
also
deconstruct.
he's a middle child, so I think
Oh.
he's the middle child,
What
right?
does that mean?
I got
Well,
one
it
of
just
those. My
means
sister-
he's.
Hi, Jordan.
I don't think my brother wants to be famous, or at least any more famous than he is. But I think he enjoys some of the things that come with it in a good way, while trying to shun kind of the negative things that everyone here has experienced, that can kind of come with fame. So I kind commend him in that I don't think he's doing anything to overreach, but I also think, we've always been the type of people, it's fun to meet new people. It's fun to get in different rooms. It's fun to have things where you're like, wow, we're from a town of 900 people on a dirt road. Like life for the most part is something I could have never even imagined 30, 40 years ago. So I have to sometimes pinch myself and remember that.
Yeah. You're very articulate with this. You've really analyzed this.
No, but it makes a ton of sense. I mean, there are plenty of good things that come with a platform, but I think those things have to be measured against a lot of the stuff that could also come with it, right? Like we get that, but I think for you specifically, because of the platform your wife has, which is an international platform of massive scale, it's a different beast. And like that, call it as it is. It just is, right? Like Lauren and I don't go to the store wearing wigs. You know what I mean? I might start now.
Yeah, exactly.
But like we don't have to deal with that. And so I imagine it's a little bit of a mind fuck sometimes when you're just, normal coming from the small town dirt road to like, why are we in costume here?
Yeah. And I also think I witness it, and I've witnessed it since the beginning of Carter and Paris's relationship, is that for sure Paris has done a lot for my brother and with my brother and completed him in a lot of ways. But this guy does so much, mostly behind the scenes, as you said, in terms of helping her organize her empire and do different things. And I know she appreciates it, but the work he does is amazing. That's what makes them good teammates.
What struck me about you, and this is as someone that's watched Paris since she became famous, when I want to say I'm in high school, is that you, and I could be totally wrong about this, were the first man to come into her life that was quietly confident on his own. It seemed like you there's a confidence about you that the other people she dated didn't have. Have you always had that?
Ready for the best thing ever? Cycle Soothing Spray. This is amazing if you get period cramps. I just used it recently and it is wild. It makes total sense though, because it's 2,700 milligrams of magnesium per bottle. And so you spray it on your stomach when you have cramps. And I'm telling you, it like settles it. It's wild. So it's by Primally Pure. I've talked about them a lot. I love this brand. It's clean products. They have like skin, body, hair, home, but they have this spray that you spray on your stomach when you have your period, PMS, pain, whatever. And it just immediately relaxes you. If I had to pick another product on their site that I use all the time, you know what I'm going to say? It's their body butter. So how I like to use this is I'll get out of the shower and I'll use the Skinny Confidential Body Sculptor and I'll put their body butter on with it. I sometimes will use the body butter after I sculpt. Sometimes I'll even use it with the sculptor. If you're tired of discomfort during your monthly menstrual cycle, try the Cycle Soothing Spray from Primally Pure at primallypure.com/skinny. That's www.primallypure.com/skinny. Use code skinny at checkout for 15% off your order. That's primallypure.com/skinny. Enter code skinny at checkout for 15% off your order.
Are you guys ready for the ultimate cinematic showdown? Get ready to witness Zendaya like you've never seen her before in the electrifying film Challengers. She's not just hitting the courts, she's hitting us with a performance that'll leave you on the edge of your seat. Directed by the visionary Luca Guadagnino, Challengers is set to redefine the game, and trust me, you don't want to miss out on this one. Picture this, Tashi Duncan, played by the incomparable Zendaya, a tennis prodigy turned coach after a career-threatening injury. But don't be fooled by her injury. She's as fierce off the court as she is on, with former best friends Patrick and Art, played by Josh O'Connor and Mike Feist. Under her spell, Tashi's game, Tashi's rules. And speaking of excitement, can we take a moment to talk about the latest Challengers trailer? It's got us all buzzing. So mark your calendars, folks. Challengers hits theaters April 26th. That's right, April 26th. This is one cinematic experience you won't want to miss. Lauren and I are huge fans of everybody involved. See Challengers only in theaters April 26th. Get your tickets now at challengersmovie.com and prepare for the ultimate thrill ride. Again, see Challengers only in theaters April 26th and get your tickets now at challengersmovie.com.
JS Health Vitamins. I've talked about this before a lot. I take their fish oil. And the reason that I take their fish oil is because I got my blood tested and found out that I had inflammation. And fish oil actually helps your inflammation go down. And not all fish oil caps are created equal. I've learned this through the podcast. JS Health's fish oil is high strength pure quality fish oil. This is really important when you're looking for a fish oil. They also have a very therapeutic dose. So it's 1.5 grams per capsule, which I really like. And it's like vanilla coated. So there's no fishy aftertaste. I take like 4 of these, you guys, a day. And I wanted to make sure if I was going to be taking 4 a day, that it was the best. Fish oil also supports skin health, which I love, heart health, mental well-being, and general health. I really like her brand. I've gotten to interview the founder. If you're looking for another good one on her site, she has a really advanced magnesium. This is a great one to wind down with at night, and it supports muscle relaxation and recovery. An expert nutritionist designed all these products in Australia, and they're really all from the highest quality of ingredients. Visit jshealthvitamins.com and use code SKINNY at checkout. You get 20% off your first purchase. That's JSHEALTH vitamins.com. Use code SKINNY for 20% off your first order.
But I don't want to talk about anyone else because I don't think there was anyone else before me.
Oh,
Was
sorry.
there?
No.
But yeah, I think
No.
Paris and I are just incredibly lucky. I think one of the things we talk about all the time is that we make each other the best version of each other, basically. And, we'll forever be a lockdown love story because she kissed me on Thanksgiving night 4+ years ago. And then, for the first few months, the world was open and we would go to a tech conference or an entertainment thing, but that's not real life, right? And then the world shut down 3 months after we started dating. And then I got to fall in love with a girl named Paris, right? You know her as Paris Hilton. I just know her as the girl I fell in love with named Paris. And for those 9 months, right, we were just like any other two people in our pajamas, getting to hang out every day. And I didn't get to have to share her with the world, which in the case of Paris is so awesome and so unique. And that's why we're married with 2 kids. And that's why we're great teammates, because we had such a strong foundation because of such an unfortunate time in the world.
I know how you guys met, that you were introduced by your mothers, right? Because I read her book.
Oh, nice. It's a great book, right?
I loved her book. I tell everyone, I'm like, you got to read her book. It shows like a whole different side of her, but she writes about, she almost like ended with the happy fairy tale of you guys meeting from your moms. Is your mom going to set you up with anyone? You got to tell your mom.
Exactly. I would love my mom to. Her Rolodex is running probably a little thin these days for a few reasons. But I would love her to. I'll never forget the first time my mom and Paris were talking this fateful Thanksgiving night, and they talked for a while. My mom turns to Paris and says, "Well, I really enjoyed talking to you more. If you're ever in Chicago, look me up. I'm in the phone book." Dead set serious. And you don't have to know my mom, but that's a true story.
That is so cute.
Yeah.
My mom's other favorite story she told Paris that night was my mom went to Columbia Business School and she said in a very cute way, "Well, I didn't know who all the boys were, but all the boys knew who I was." Because she was the one of only 20 females that graduated at the time from
Class
Columbia
like
Business School.
500.
So the parents are real smart. When I asked you guys how you guys are so smart,
Yeah.
I knew there's more to the story. So
You
the
thought there was a
parents
hack,
are
yeah.
really
Parents
smart.
and grandparents, and yeah, for sure.
We got like a smart lineage going.
I think we have, not to say it too seriously, but I think we have a family that, like, when they came over from different places, mostly Europe, really prioritized education. Like, they didn't come over with a lot of money, but they came over with a lot of chutzpah for education.
Are you guys like big readers, big researchers? Like, what does that look like for both of you?
It's, kind of ebbs and flows. I wish I read more books, but I would say in some shape or form, I probably read like an hour a day, but it ends up being, kind of like bite-sized pieces like all of us to just get the quick download. And then I try to always have a stack of like medium and long form articles that are things I'm interested in. So it's not a book, but it could be a 5 to 20 page article. So that's kind of my information diet.
Are you a reader?
I used to be, honestly. I gave up driving like 5 or 6 years ago
Did you
because I
really?
only take Lyft because it's like a productivity
Yeah.
hack, right? First thing they tell you for productivity. And now things like Lyft and Uber are much more expensive, but that was in the days of VC subsidies, as we joke, right? Everything, like I could drive 30 minutes for $20 and right, I could sit in the back and on a laptop. But what I've found that I miss since I don't drive and we're constantly all behind our emails, whether that's on a laptop or on a phone, is I don't create that space to read a book before bedtime or while driving, listen to a podcast other than yours. And when my
tune in
brother's
every
on
day.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you better be listening all the time.
I imagine in the line of work that, like, I'm always curious about this. For what you guys do, part of what I think you need to do is kind of look for what's coming or what the next thing is. And so I imagine at times you get pitched things or like, hey, great, awesome, but it's the old thing now, right? And can't be valued the same way as the one that was pre. So like when you're going through that process, what are the kind of patterns or things you're looking for to find that next unicorn or next trend or next pattern?
And that's what I was kind of talking about earlier. I think it's you don't get it in that moment, but you start to pick up those patterns, right? We probably look at 3,000 decks a year, and we invest in 8 companies, right? And so, are we going through each of those decks?
That's good. I want to stay on that. That is relevant. I think that is very relevant for this audience to hear. Because I think people get so discouraged. There's only so much capital you guys can deploy as a fund. That's an interesting stat.
Yeah, that is
3,000
an interesting stat.
decks that somehow get to you, right? Like
that actually get to us.
I think it's way more if you actually like decks that you don't even look at,
That's
or
what
you
I'm
just
saying.
based on the sub. I mean, it's probably triple that, but ones that we actually take some kind of glance at.
So,
Yeah,
okay,
let's
so
call it 10 a
imagine
day, yeah.
these have to get past whatever filters and radars that you guys have in place. Then they have to get to you. Then there's 3,008 of those get through. That's a pretty incredible stat.
That's why it's easier to be an NBA basketball player than a unicorn founder.
So you get to those 8. What are the
Sorry.
patterns or things that you guys are looking for those 8 that actually get funded?
I still go, I mean, we wrote this in our book 5 years ago. I still think it holds true. It's still always the right idea in the right context at the right time, because like all 3 of those really hard to come by, and you're in the running for one of the 8. One of the 3, for sure, you're not even a non-starter. Sometimes 2 of the 3, depending on where the third's at, but I think it's got to be all those.
And I think it's also like there's a famous sports stat called wins above replacement, right? So LeBron James accounts for the most wins above his replacement. Like, I think the founders, like, it's hard to be a founder, right? It is very, very, very hard. And so what's that founder's unfair advantage? Like, did they grow up, right? Was there some experience in the past that informed a unique point of view, that they had some skill or something like that,
What do you think is going to be up and coming in the next 3 years for companies that are really going to hit?
Well, obviously AI is going to change the world, right? Because AI is just pattern recognition, but very fast, very efficient, right?
It's like your brain.
Yeah, to your brain, right?
Your brain.
Oh, my brain. Maybe bootleg
Do you
AI.
have a computer in your brain at this moment? Are you
But
not
if you
telling
think
us?
about it, like, again, the reason a computer can beat a human at chess is it's all patterns, right? So, of course, the computer can compute the patterns faster. But right now, everyone's like, how cool is it? I can make a birthday invite on, using generative AI, or my superhuman now pre-drafts my emails every morning. So that's cool, and that's amazing. Those are really productivity gains. I think where it gets really exciting is what's the second and what's the third ripple of these technologies, right? If you think about fundamental shifts in technology, like the iPhone, it led to the creator economy, right? Like, it was because everyone had a camera that was high res in their pocket and could get it up to the cloud and things like that. And so right now we're in such early innings of AI that people are focused on the features of it, which is really cool. But wait till we start to see the new business models that we can't even imagine today, right, that are possible, right? Airbnb, Uber, these things coincide with the advent of the iPhone, because all of a sudden all of us had a supercomputer in our pocket, and that fundamentally shifted. And now it's happening even faster.
For a while, there's things where there's like horizontal and verticals. So like, I think we used to do a lot more consumer. Now we're really more tech focused, and some of that has a consumer overlay, some doesn't. But we've moved to a lot of software and services, because 5 years ago when we started, or 7 years ago, I think consumer went from like a vertical, like I invest in consumer companies, to like a horizontal. Like, it was a horizontal overlay on everything, like the consumerization of everything, many, many different categories. And I think that's still happened. But I think right now, AI is like, I'm investing in AI like a vertical. Slowly, it's going to proliferate and be a horizontal overlay on every single thing in every part of our lives. And that'll just kind of happen asymmetrically.
You just had 2 babies.
Yes.
Yes,
Phoenix
personal
and
stuff.
London.
Let's get into that,
Well,
Lauren.
no, I want to
I want
actually.
to make sure we talk about my wife too.
We're going to talk about your
All
wife.
right, perfect.
Oh, he's
The
so
best teammate
cute.
ever.
You are really cute.
Well, I have
Like-
the world's greatest wife.
If you don't fucking say that when I'm not around.
Shut your mouth over
No,
there.
he
Or
does.
his
He
face.
is
I
really-
know.
you are really
This always
cute.
happens. I do something really
You are
nice
really
for Paris, and I see other wives grabbing their husband and go,
Yeah.
why can't you be more like Carter?
Yeah, you are really sweet with her. You are sweet with her, though.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Let's start with him, and
It's
then we
not
can
a
focus
shtick.
on me and my needs. But he is cute with her.
I actually was going to ask you a business question about your kids
Oh,
We're slowly transitioning, but go ahead. Yes.
for both of you, because you're an uncle. What do you guys hope to instill in your kids now that you have kids for the future?
Paris and I talk about it all the time. To me, it's very simple. One is the only rule in our house is everyone has to be a good human being, right? Like at the end of the day, the rest of all this stuff is all nice to haves, but you got to be a good human being. And then if I think about why my brother and I have been successful, is because we played so many sports growing up, and that gave us a sense of achievement, right? Like I graduated from Columbia with a 4.0. I'm actually not a rocket scientist, but I'm really competitive. And I thought to myself, well, I want to achieve. Like if I'm going to go to college, I might as well try to be first, right? It was just something ingrained in me, even though we never had pressure. And so to me, it's simple. You just want to be a good human being and have that sense of accomplishment. And then whatever happens from there, because I think too many parents obsess about this and that. And is he listening to Beethoven at 2? Is he playing Beethoven at 3? And that just seems like a lot.
I read the best quote the other day. I'm sorry, I have to pull it up. It's the best quote. I sent it to Michael, but Michael, you didn't get it.
What do you mean? I would have
Look
gotten
at
it.
okay.
Maybe it was only a subpar quote.
How
then.
good is
Let's
this
see.
quote? If a child is poor in math and good at tennis, most parents would hire a math tutor. I would hire instead a tennis coach.
Yeah.
That's how I want to parent.
Well, that's, we also, in the U.S., it's a very Western thing to be like, you got A's in all these subjects, but a C in math. We're going to talk about math, not going, well, it sure seems like you like English. Maybe you're a next great novelist. We should, strengths finder, whatever you want to call. We don't push those enough.
It's so funny because this came up the other day running a company. I was like, it would be like me running this business and getting the best video creator on the team, be like, I really need you to dive into our P&L.
Right. No, totally.
Like that's kind of how that I had such a rough time in school because I always felt like the stuff that I was accelerating at or wanted to do more of, it was like there was such a focus on the stuff that I had no interest on.
Yeah.
And to your point, like
He wasn't getting a 4.0. Let me tell you,
look where
I've
he
known
is
him
now,
since he was
Lauren.
12.
Oh,
He was
wow.
outside the classroom mooning the principal, flicking off the teacher.
yeah, because she wouldn't get off my
In a
ass
fucking
about
dunce
stuff
cap.
I didn't want to do.
Yeah, I don't know that you guys would have all gotten along in school.
I think about this all the time and just like the world that we really live in compared to like some of these artificial things and constraints that we create, which is that would be insane in that example. If I was going to the creative department and saying, I need you to run our finance department and or like get good at finance. Like, I don't need them to be in finance at all, right? I need them to be fully on the other side. But to your point, it's weird how we do that here.
One thing that I don't think is talked about enough with Paris Hilton is how savvy she is with her business. Like what she's built is not easy.
You know who came on this show and was so complimentary towards her and talked about
Yes,
this?
me. I did on my last
Yeah, you
episode,
did.
but okay.
You did.
But before you, the fat Jewish
Oh, nice.
Josh, he came on and it was like in such an early episode and he was
That's true.
articulating
Yeah.
how big of a businesses that she's built internationally.
But my question is like, I know how savvy she is, but how did you both plug in when you see what she's built? He said you just helped her organize her stuff. Like, how did you guys plug into that empire and be effective and helpable.
I'm honestly, at the end of the day, just a supportive husband like everyone else. I always say to Paris, I
Humble.
always say to her, like, if you ever want to just be if you want to be a school teacher, I'll make you the world's best school teacher. She always looks up at me with those cute little eyes and goes, no, I like being iconic. And I was like, all right, let's go. And, you know, so she started 1111 3 years ago. I think, you know, now it's the largest female-founded media company in the world, $1 billion plus company. And, you know, what's unique about Paris is she has such global reach. Yeah, recently they did a focus group, and 78% of people globally between 15 and 55 know who Paris Hilton is. That is crazy.
Wow.
Right? Normally it would be around 20% for a pretty big time celebrity. And then when you think about how multi-hyphenated Paris is, right? You know, a few years ago does her documentary, then she does a book. Now she's launching a new album with Sia and all these badass females. You know, her products alone, wait for this, her products alone have done $4 billion in revenue the last decade.
If she came to you guys to invest, would you?
I think the valuation is too great. You know, it's a unicorn. It's too pricey, that valuation now. But at the end of the day, what people don't realize about Paris is her instincts are so good. And if you think about her career, she's just always been innovative. She's been one step ahead, right? She tells the story of everyone told her doing this reality show, the first of its kind, would ruin her life. Turns out it did not ruin her life. Instead, 13 million people tuned in for the first episode. Or she understood the power of social media and ongoing, right? She was tweeting out about Bitcoin in 2016, mapping herself for the metaverse in 2018, right? She has such good instincts. And then like anybody else, she just works so hard because at the end of the day for Paris, because of these experiences she had at these troubled teen schools where she was physically and mentally and sexually abused, she basically said to herself, I'm going to make so much damn money that nobody can ever control me again. And so for Paris, like that financial success means empowerment to her. And that's what drives her, even though she's achieved everything, but she just has it instilled in her.
There's this part in her book that is exactly what you just said. And she's like laying in the dark in like a cell that they put you in, which is disgusting. And you guys all have to go read the book. And she has this moment where she realizes that no one can control her mind. They can take everything away from her, but they can't control her mind. And in the scene, she maps out how she's going to have glitter on her eye, and she's going to have a blonde, long ponytail, and she's going to be the most famous woman in the world. And you can literally see the visualization and manifestation of becoming Paris Hilton in that chapter. It's a really, really powerful chapter. And it does show how when someone takes everything away from you, you do still have your mind. It's powerful. Very, very smart. You're a lucky guy.
I have the best wife.
Yeah, you're
literally the best wife on the planet.
But to bring it back to doing what you do best, though, I can't remember if I mentioned this. It's one of my favorite articles on our last episode. This guy, Paul Graham, who's a tech guy, writes about a lot of stuff. He has a little blurb that he calls maker versus manager schedule. And I think, a maker means you're a creator, you're seeing trends. You have to be in harm's way or the crosshairs of like seeing what's next and all that. And I think Paris has always done that. But I think, let's call my brother more a manager for the purposes of this article. He's come and brought structure to stuff and helped do a bunch of things so that in some ways you can elevate or free up Paris's time to do that stuff, because anyone gets drained, decision fatigue, making these small decisions, maybe people involved who, don't have your best interest or not aligned, all that stuff. And I think that's where you guys work really well together.
Did you guys have a good bullshit meter? Like when you guys both came into her life, could you just smell people that were there for the wrong reasons? Yeah,
yeah. I mean, we lived in it's not like we fell off the turnip truck. We lived in LA over 10 years. So
you have
even before that, hers is a good litmus test, but I think we
need to find a good teammate for my brother.
We do. You're single, newly single.
What's going on? Yeah, listen, there's a few female listeners here. That's right.
So I've heard. It didn't come up earlier, but I actually have 12 god kids. So that should be an endorsement. Yeah. And only two of them are my immediate family. Is that official?
That's
Carter?
a big...
Is that official? I just asked you.
So it's either 10 or 12.
You're also a godfather to Phoenix, yes.
Oh, she's okay. Then it's 11. Sorry.
Sorry, 12? What's the 12th?
London?
I didn't know.
I don't think you can be the same.
Well, we do it 1 year after they're born.
So 11 with an asterisk.
Yeah, you can't.
Wait, I don't
11.
think that you can be a godfather of two of the same family kids, can you? Like my kids have different godfathers.
I think we've had a lot of debates about. There's a little bit of an outdated concept, and we're much more spiritual than religious. But no, I have 3 sets of 2 kids, actually 2 girls, and then 2 sets of 2 guys in different countries, mind you. So 6 of the 11 are 3 families.
Are you ready to get married? I'm going to stay on this for a second.
Okay, yeah.
Let me put
I am. I think when we were talking earlier about where energy goes. I think that's my biggest lesson, that life goes fast and tomorrow's not guaranteed. And I think like settling down, starting a family has been like not low on my priority list, but maybe 3 or 4 for quite a while. And it turns out that I never get to the 4th thing on the priority list, but I'm ready to make it the first thing for
What's
sure.
your type?
Oh man, what Carter keeps talking about unicorns, just your basic unicorn.
Careful here.
No, I think without being too specific, I think it's taken a long time to realize, but I really, want a partner. And I think we've been spending some time with Jay Shetty lately, and he told me I got the wrong definition from his book, but it's close to this. His definition of love is something like you like the person, you like their personality, you love their values, and you help each other achieve their dreams. Again, I butchered it a little, so sorry, Jay, if you listen to this. But the direction's right, where I went, wow, I've dated a lot of people or had relationships where I love their personality, maybe only like their values, kind of inverted those two, and maybe didn't feel like I got enough support to achieve my dreams or get to new places. So that's
you really have to
important.
be aligned on the vision.
Mhm.
Like that's something that I see all the time doesn't work is when one person wants to go here and one person wants to go here. It doesn't work. You got to be aligned. You got to, I talk to my friends about this. I'm like, don't you sit down with your husband and like map out where you want to be in a year or 10 years or 20 years.
Yeah.
And they're like, some of them are like, no. And I'm like,
Right.
Yeah, I did.
you have to know what you're committed to.
Yeah.
I did a podcast yesterday, which was weird. I was on the other side. I was sitting there and I was being interviewed. A really nice kid named Casey. And we brought this up and I said, you can't just want to have the same vision. Like say Lauren and I are like, hey, we want to build a pie shop. Like my idea of the pie shop might be, I want to build an international pie brand that reaches the world. Hers might be like, I want to build just a mom and pop pie shop that serves the community. Like you both have the same idea, but like the vision of where you want to take it, if you're not aligned there, like I think I see a lot of couples that struggle where it's like, well, I thought we were going here to the moon. What do you mean we want to stop?
I think the good news is for where I sit is for the right person. I'm not 25 anymore. So we've taken some things out of the equation. Like, it's not all about optimizing for money. It's more about impact and fulfillment. But I feel like I have a lot of flexibility that I wouldn't have had.
We've known each other since we were 12.
Since you were 12. Okay. But even if you met at like 20, you wouldn't even know where that's going. Now I feel like I can be more flexible when I find the right person because I just have a lot of.
I
can
think
just
you need
tell
someone
you-
who's smart too.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carter.
No, I was just going to
Tell
say,
us.
man, when you find that person, it is awesome. You guys feel the same way?
Did you know right away?
Yeah. She kissed me and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. But no, we were just instantly inseparable. And like, we really just complement each other, right? Like truly, I give her things that she needs. She gives me things that I need. Like we really just.
They should have called it Carter in Love.
Yeah,
You're so
no.
cute with her. You are really so cute with her. It's sweet.
She always says she was custom made for me. And I think it might be factually accurate.
Lauren, why don't you say these things to me? No, but here's the thing. I think that
It's still new.
Here,
They
this
haven't
is
noticed
so
this
romantic.
this is going to sound very sappy, but I feel
Oh, now he's going to get sappy
No, no,
because
no.
you got sappy, so now he has to out-sap you.
the world in general can feel very lonely at times, no matter how much you're achieving, right? Like you guys have built best in class businesses and that's all great. But at some point it almost, and you're lucky that you get to do it as brothers because there's a familiar bond.
Yeah,
But
unfortunately, it's the closest thing I've had to a marriage, so I see the ups and downs.
It's
but
been
yes.
a good marriage.
Yeah, it's
But
been a good
my-
marriage. We're not divorced.
my point is that there's something special about feeling like you're building a life together with someone and that you're both in it together. Take the financials out of it, whether it's building a family or just building a life in general. And I think what I've seen with a lot of the guys that I know that are very successful and accomplished is like at some point that accomplishment bucket gets over. He's like, you've already, like, what else are you going to do at this point,
Yeah.
honestly? And it's like kind of like, okay, now what are we building to be fulfilled together?
Totally.
You know,
I think
I
that
think you need a person.
incremental X, I've kind of hit that point where that incremental X amount isn't quite as exciting or even something that's not monetary, but some achievement thing is, a little less, there's less of that dopamine hit and you're looking for something a little more lasting, like what everyone here has.
What do you want for your brother?
I
What's
think he
your
just
edit?
needs a great teammate, right? Someone that makes him his best version of himself and vice versa. Somebody that's smart, someone that keeps him smiling. But at the end of the day, like it's just someone that you're so excited to come home from work and wear your PJs and hang out with, right? Like that's what I always tell Paris. When I jump on an early flight and come home because I'm just so excited to see her, or I leave the office, I was like, how cool is it? We've literally spent in 4 years, probably all but about a week together. And I'm still so excited to go home and give her a kiss and hear how her day was or vice versa. And that feeling is something you can't put on paper, but when you have it, you have it.
You got it like a random Wednesday. Like that's what a marriage is. Like you got to be able to like to be around each other so much that a random Wednesday, which is like the hump day of the week, it feels fun.
I was wondering why you chose Wednesday.
Because it's like the hump day. Where it's like we're not at Friday yet, but we're like we're getting there. You
I
know
like
what
the
I mean?
thing where someone's like, if you find someone you like to clean the toilets with, I think that's an outdated concept. But if you enjoy being with them to like do the things that nobody wants to do,
When you get married, if I don't see you cleaning the toilets on
I
Instagram with
will.
your
Yeah,
wife,
we're gonna do it. That's gonna be my debut on TikTok because I'm not on TikTok.
I want
But
you to
hear
clean
me
the
out.
toilet.
Isn't that what you guys tell me? But isn't that like
Michael's not cleaning
it's
shit.
easy to find? No, okay, forget
I'm
the
cleaning
toilets.
when you use your manscaper. I'm cleaning things off everywhere, but he's not cleaning the toilets.
Listen, it's been a few Wednesdays since I've woken up and said, let's hit the toilets, babe. But no, I get what you're saying though. It's like the mundane stuff.
Well, and it's also like there's a lot of people who, if we're going amazing places and going to this, are a lot of fun, and myself included, everyone's like a fair weather fan. it's when you find someone that you don't mind doing the stuff that nobody wants to do, or you go, okay, let's roll up our sleeves and do it together, right?
DM Courtney, he wants to clean the toilets with you.
For the right person, I will clean the toilet as like a screening for the first date, right? Yeah,
I'm into
that's a
it.
precursor.
I have a question that Courtney and I talked about a little before we booked the show. There are a lot of couples that work together, a lot of families that work together. I used to work with my dad. They're siblings. When you guys
Mother-in-laws?
when you guys disagree with each other, say you really like a deal, you really don't, or you want to run the business, like how do you guys resolve that? Not only as partners, but being family? Because I feel if there was, sometimes people don't get this. I've never worked with family. If there wasn't the family dynamic, it's like, hey, it's more of like a business. When it's as
I wanna know
personal
this
as this, I want to
question.
know how you guys.
How do you guys resolve? Who's right?
Well, it's changed a lot over, we've been business partners in different ventures for 15 years, more than that, like 17 years. It's hard to believe we're that old, but I think it's changed a lot because I do think there was a time when it's just only he and I. And so if you disagree, it's just like trying to get, adjudicated between the two of us. Now, I think it's evolved in that, of course, as you get older, you understand each other better. You maybe don't have to be right as much, but also, truth be told, at like M13, for example, we have such great partners and different people who are thought leaders in different areas that now I go, well, I don't see it that way, but this person maybe has a background or expertise in that, their opinion factors into. So I think there's very few things where it's only the two of us without other thought partners weighing in. And I think for me, like, it's taken a long time, but I dig my heels in less on the things that I try to make my point, but not have to be right, versus the right outcome.
That true?
No comment. But I think I think the key to anyone who's in business together with their family is just never make it personal, right? That's where it kind of can go to a bad place. But we always disagree or debate and then align, right? And the best companies, they create a culture where you can debate things and share your opinion, but then somehow you make that decision, and then everyone has to get back together and align on what's going forward.
I have to ask about becoming a new dad.
Yeah.
You had to keep that. I think you probably on the planet Earth had one of the most secretive situations I've ever seen. And how did you guys do that? How did you decide how to tell your family members? Because we got to see the iconic Kathy Hilton do it on Paris in Love. What was like the plan, the scheme around it?
Revolve is the place to pick up a quick outfit for date night, weddings, engagement parties. And it also, fun fact, has the Skinny Confidential products on it. So you can go on Revolve and you can check out their new arrivals daily. They're always like super on the pulse when it comes to style and fashion. And then you can also shop Skinny Confidential tools and products. It's like everything. It's everything in one. What I like about Revolve is their selling time, because when you check out, you not only find the most amazing curated edits for every occasion, but you also have a quick, seamless checkout. There's nothing worse when I'm trying to buy something and it takes like 100 years. I want it to be quick, and I want to be able to pick something out that can arrive quickly, and that is Revolve. It's like my go-to place when I want to find something luxurious that features amazing brands. So the other day I was shopping for white tees. I went on there and I got the best James Pierce tees. I got the white one in the V-neck, and then I got the crew neck cut, and I got it in black too. From last minute getaways to party dressing plus seasonal updates, Revolve has you covered with fast 2-day shipping. They also have easy returns all on them. So go to revolve.com/skinny today to shop my curated selection for every occasion this season. And don't forget to check out their latest arrivals while you're there. They have all new arrivals daily, so there's always something new to shop. That's REVOLVE.com/SKINNY. One thing that I will never give up is bread. I love bread. So enter Hero Bread. Okay, so it's a bread that has no net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, and fewer calories. But here's what I like about it. It has protein and fiber. I have been upping my protein and fiber. It has helped me lose 60 pounds. I will never stop talking about it, upping my protein. And to have a bread that has protein in it is absolutely amazing. So the other day, I really wanted a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I used their bread. I did like a little bit of almond butter, and then I like melted raw honey on top of it. And then I did some jam from the farmer's market on the toasted Hero bread, and it was so good. And there is 0 to 1 grams of net carbs, 0 sugar, and it's high in fiber, and it has protein. I mean, I don't know what to say. This is like a win-win. My next thing that I want to do is a BLT. How good does that sound? A little bit of bacon from the farmer's market with some avocado mayo. And then you feel like, okay, I didn't go crazy with the bread. You don't feel like super heavy. They also have, these are good, 2 gram net carb hero croissants. You guys, they even have a 1 gram net carb hero cheddar biscuit. Go stalk their site. I feel like this audience is going to love this for grilled cheese, peanut butter, and jelly. Don't give up on being a breadhead. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use code SKINNY at checkout. That's skinny at HERO.co. If you want to activate your day, you have to check out Superhumans Activations. Basically what they are is it's a new type of groundbreaking audio. So it's kind of like a mix between an inspirational podcast, gorgeous music, and affirmations with a guided visualization all in one. How I like to use it is I love to walk with my son in the mornings. I call it our circadian walk, and I'll put him in the stroller and I'll turn on an activation. I've been listening to one that we actually have on our podcast. It's called Become Your Magnetic Future Self. And it's so good. And basically, I got the sunlight on me for waking me up and just making me feel good. Like a little bit of sunlight in the morning makes me feel absolutely amazing. I have my driving gloves on. I'm walking with my son. We go by the lake. So when I go back home, I can like do my to-do list. It's motivational. Sometimes meditation can make me feel tired, but with these activations, it kind of like gives you a kick in the ass. It's way easier to implement into your routine and far more effective than any other audio app out there. Don't miss out on this crazy deal. They rarely do discounts. On top of the 14-day free trial, get over 60% off your subscriptions for a limited time only at activations.com/skinny. There's literally no risk. If you change your mind and forget to cancel after the trial, you're covered by their money-back guarantee. This offer is only available through their website, not the App Store. That's activations.com/skinny for over 60% off. Expires soon.
There wasn't too much of a scheme, but I think Paris, what's been so great about our love story is that Paris's whole world has played out in the public eye for so long, right? I Googled it the other day. There's 146 million images of Paris Hilton on Google, right? So everyone's watched her entire life. And I think one of the reasons why we've had such a great love story is we've done things on our terms and outside of the public eye, and that's what we love. And so in this case, I don't know how we came up with the idea, but we just decided we wanted the journey to be our own. And it was just so special because no one in the world knew that we were going to have our son Phoenix at the time. And, but it was what we would talk about every night, getting excited, thinking about being a family. We call our family the cutesy crew. So, we'd talk about it all the time. And, and then when we told our families, they were obviously just thrilled for us and super excited. And Courtney comes over and plays with Phoenix and now London all the time. And it's the best.
What's the best part of having Kathy Hilton as a mother-in-law? I love
never a dull moment.
I love it. I love it. I love.
You want to come to our Thanksgiving?
I want to come to the Thanksgiving. Do you, the holiday party, the way she decorates everything.
Didn't you go? Weren't you invited to the Christmas party?
She invited me to the Christmas party. I almost flew from Austin.
Have you had Kathy on here?
No.
She's a consummate host. She's a great host.
I just think she is so multifaceted and interesting. I mean,
she's the original OG. She's the GOAT.
Yeah. What's it like having this as your mother-in-law?
Yeah.
Phoenix.
It's pretty awesome.
Is it like, awesome. Are you guys like having like normal dinner conversation?
We have a lot of normal stuff. But the thing about Kathy is she's just always so fun, right?
Funny, too.
Like she's fun. She's funny. You see so much of Paris in Kathy, right? You know exactly where she got it. And so, man, it's just awesome.
On the Real Housewives, she loves prank calling.
Oh, really?
By the way,
haven't done that since the 90s.
Let's get Kathy on the podcast, and she will definitely
just retire the podcast after that.
All right, we're getting her on.
I will, Kathy. I will retire the podcast.
We do have a business to
I think she's like so interesting.
Yeah,
I really do.
We'd love to have her on. I mean, listen, we try to talk to like all sorts. I mean, you know the show. Like we're talking to everybody. So.
Do you know, I told you guys this off air, that I saw your book, was like, obsessed with the whole concept, and I DM'd both of you, I think like probably 6 years ago,
5 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. And like wanted you guys both to come on and ask the best way to book. Carter's not
And
even
no
on
one
Instagram.
responded?
Yeah, well, now I never check
I
my
don't think- I don't think you check it.
my DMs, but now based on what we just talked about, I'm gonna have to check them anyway. So it's a good reminder that there can be amazing
Now I got
business
Courtney on the back
opportunities in
phone,
there.
though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We're emailing
oh
each
no,
other.
Courtney's gonna check his DMs now. You guys go, everyone, run.
I have a feeling after this episode, you're going to be in the DMs a bit.
Paris and Love, tell us how everyone can watch what you're doing. Are you on Paris and Love, Courtney? You make a little of appearances, right?
Yeah, I think, Carter, correct me if I'm wrong, but season 1, I was a little more featured prominently because of the build up to the wedding.
Yes.
There was some controversy as to whether or not I would officiate the wedding. Besides my 11 godkids, I've officiated some weddings to some very rave reviews. That one didn't happen. What was the line, Carter?
It was close,
if it's Red, Father Ed, and I guess it was Father Ed at the roulette table in Vegas. So I was in more.
Wait, what?
Well, the aforementioned Kathy was, and I get it, but she was in favor of the church, what's it called? Good Shepherd?
Yep.
Good Shepherd in Beverly Hills. So she wanted old Father Ed, and I think some people in our family wanted me, coming off a really good wedding for our cousin Jay. And so at the, in Vegas at the joint bachelor party, if we call it that, still trying to figure out what to call a joint one, but it was a great one.
Wait, why is that weird to have a joint one? Because it was both
Yeah.
Carter and Paris.
Correct.
I wish I did that.
I just haven't experienced it before, but it was great. We had so much fun. But anyways, we were with cameras. Probably my crowning moment for season 1, Paris and Love, was we were at the roulette tables and Kathy and I were having some banter, and it started to be roulette. If it's red, it's Father Ed, and
It was red.
Sure
It always
enough,
goes in
red.
Kathy's
But tell me, and we can air this out if you don't want to, but I think it's relevant to talk about. Can we talk about what you're doing with this soccer team?
Yeah,
'Cause
what's going on with the soccer
by the
team?
time this airs, you will already be gone.
Sure.
So you want to get into Ted Lasso meets Ryan Reynolds
yeah,
meets
yeah.
Courtney Reum?
I think
Give us
there's
the
a
juice.
time to do it. Like if we're gonna, and we can again, if we later we can revisit. But I think it's worth just discussing. As one, I was trying to explain to Lauren what you're doing.
I don't understand. You bought a soccer team?
So have you seen? So I had this
Have you
idea
seen Ted Lasso?
before.
I haven't seen Ted Lasso.
Before Ted
I'm
know
too
Ted
busy
Lasso.
watching Paris and Love,
Yeah, exactly.
Carter.
You're a smart woman.
Yes.
On Peacock.
Streaming anytime,
You
day
can
or
also
night.
buy
The
her
book's on
book,
Amazon.
Paris the Memoir, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
What about the
and
perfume?
all your favorite bookstores.
That's available everywhere.
If we're hawking products for a moment here, though, I really came back. Well, I didn't know I came back for the DMs, but I definitely came back for the pink mouth tape because I've been excited about that.
The pink mouth tape is amazing. I'm telling
It's
you.
live as of recently, right?
But you guys both look like nose breathers, but you
No,
still
no,
got to
no.
try it.
No. I tape my mouth every night.
I'm going to get
need
you
it.
pink mouth tape, but I'm going to tell you something. It sold out in 48 hours, and then we brought it back, and it sold out in 4 minutes. I don't even have any of my own mouth
We have an
tape.
inventory issue we got to solve.
Don't worry.
Well, we can
I'll
talk
be
about
sending
that
you guys my
offline.
deck after this. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Here's a pitch
I'm just
deck.
kidding.
I'm so excited because I use we can go back to sports in a minute, but I use sports tape on my mouth and I do it vertical. And I mean, some days when I'm rushed, it just rips my lips, but it's the
And by the way,
best way
you
to
should
seal
use
it.
our company, that M13 company, because it'll save you money and help Pietra. Have you ever heard of Pietra?
Yes, I work with them.
Okay, cool.
I already work with them
I'm
for
on the board.
influencer boxes.
Oh, cool. You do
Wait,
your packaging there.
Yeah, but I might ask
But
you
you
a
can
couple
kind of
questions.
do all that stuff. But yeah, afterwards, yeah.
Because
But
I have some questions
yeah.
about other things
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you
for sure.
do.
But let's talk
But let's
about
talk
the Ted
about,
Lasso
because I
deal.
think
Yeah,
this
tell
is
us.
like a
Yeah.
great example of having a dream and figuring out how to go after it.
Yeah. So let's see. I would say it like this. So there's a show that some people have seen called Ryan Reynolds, Welcome to Wrexham. He buys the oldest, I don't know if it's the oldest team in England, but it's the oldest stadium. And he tries to rehabilitate them from the lowest division of what's considered pro all the way up. And so I had this idea. We played growing up and at a pretty high level. I played in college and, let's say it this way, I wouldn't have gotten into the schools I got into if I weren't for having football or soccer. And so somehow I came across this idea, let's do a Ryan Reynolds, Welcome to Wrexham, but I play. Because if I own the team, I can do that. Turns out, because of the way most sports teams are run, I don't actually need to buy the team. I just need to figure out some kind of financial arrangement. So I found a team that, was open to some kind of investment. And I said, here's what you need. Here's what I'd like to do. And I was on a Zoom and they were like, this is crazy.
Wait, hold on. You got to give it to. Here's what you need. Here's what
I don't think
so,
it
wait,
sounds
hold
this crazy.
on. Wait, so what they
He wants
need
You've
to
ever
play-
heard
they
of
need-
anyone buying an NBA team and walking on the hard true?
I wanted, if I had the funds and I wanted to do something, like via Victoria's Secret Angel. And I bought Victoria's Secret.
Which you
I
can
would
get for pretty
expect
cheap,
to
honestly.
put some wings on and strut my ass down the runway.
I agree. So I'm on the Zoom and the guy's like, you look really young, but how old did you say you were? And I told him he almost fell out of his chair. And he said, I want to do this because I think they needed the capital infusion. But he was like, we got to send someone to see you play because I don't think he thought I could walk from here to the fridge. And they sent someone to see me play, said it's much better than we thought. I think the parenthesis was, and we need this investment. And so that happened in like December. January was the international transfer window. So I didn't even know this, but like pretend Ronaldo's switching teams, who's also Portuguese, but he didn't this time, but he switches teams. That's all public. So February 1st, the biggest paper in Portugal was like, it seems like they've hired this team signed a 45-year-old American who we can't find a record of him playing. Looks to be a pretty successful entrepreneur and author and might even be related to Paris Hilton. And then a few things kind of went crazy. But the funniest thing to come out of it was that the UK Sun, which is a very big publication, wrote an article saying, as best we can tell, if this actually happens, this will be the oldest person to ever make their pro debut at a level this
And
high.
you're surprised at that.
Well, so I don't know if anyone watches the NFL Combine, but Tom Brady just beat his 40-yard dash time of 24 years ago.
I don't think this
crazy.
is that crazy. Like I get it. People pay their way in to do things all the time in LA.
Listen,
let's be honest.
Here's the thing.
Well, I don't think he paid his way here. I think he facilitated a tryout and then got the roster slot based on skill.
I make no bones that this is not totally merit-based, but I don't think it's zero merit.
Okay, so
I've
how
been
do
training.
I say it? You made an investment, and part of that investment was you playing.
Yeah, I mean, I created an opportunity, and we found a win-win, and
It's like buying a gymnasium for an elementary school to make sure your kids get an interview. And then if they get that interview and then they're admitted to the
can
school,
always
then
count on my
everybody
brother to help
wins.
me out. But yes, anyways, I think for me it was like it was really exciting to find something where I could be really excited and really anxious and scared at the same time, and I kind of hadn't held both those in the same vein in a while. And so and there's lots of other like mini inspirations. My friend Mike Posner, the singer, is one example.
I'm dying to interview him.
Oh, we should do it. I was with him 2 nights ago. His walk
thing he
across
just
America. So
post-
he obviously sang songs like "I Took a Pill in Ibiza." Then he's a much different person now, and it's kind of his evolution. We met, I think, probably at the start of me searching for something like this during COVID. Flew to see him in outside of Denver, and he had just walked across America. For anyone who doesn't know, he walked from the Atlantic to the Pacific, 2,800 miles. Thought it was going to be this journey of like everyone singing and dancing, going, "Oh, you're Mike Posner," and just do Pill and Ibiza again. And instead, it was like of the 2,800 miles, like 2,500 of them, he's totally alone. It's dark. He got bit by a rattlesnake, and first it was something like, you have like an hour to like get to a hospital, and this was like somewhere in the Dust Bowl, or else you're going to die. And then he almost lost his leg. And so, I don't know, there's more ones I could explain, but I'd say those were all the moments where I was like, what's my walk across America? And so, better to love and lost, never tried it all. So now I'm training hours a day, and I'm going out there to play in a game May 4th.
The next time you come on this podcast, you're going to be married, and you're also I'm manifesting.
And you're going to be a professional soccer player.
Like Paris manifest visualization. You're going to be married, and you're going to have played on this soccer team and won, and that's the next time you come on. Before you guys go, I have to ask you something. This is so random, but I know you guys will both have a great answer. You kind of answered this on the other podcast, but I would love to do like a little deep dive. This is so random. How do you guys manage your time? Like the calendar, with how busy Paris is, with how busy you are, with how much you want to execute, with you buying not buying, with you investing, and with you now doing this endeavor. Like, how are you guys managing all this?
To me, it's all about prioritization, and it's actually more important is deprioritization, right? Anyone who wants to accomplish a lot has a lot of to-dos. I find the hardest thing you can do is say, hey, I just can't do this right now, and I'm going to push it back a week or a month or something like that. So to me, I wake up every day, I usually spend time on the weekend. What's the 20% that's going to drive the 80%, right? And what's that Pareto's principle? Because, now not only is it business, but I want to spend time with my wife, and I want to spend time with our kids, just like you guys do. And so the bar is just so much higher, right? So it gets so much easier to say, no to that kind of good friend's birthday party because I'd rather hang out with my family or I'd rather work or something like that.
Yeah. So no, I think your worst case for you at this point is like you have part of a professional soccer team and you decide, hey, I'm not really going to do this. But your best case is you could set a record and build a fucking phenomenal team and story. And it's like, it's rad. Like,
I think listen, I'm not trying to pretend that I'm not really lucky to have this opportunity come my way. I think so much of life is making your own luck. And I think I've taken the first steps in making the luck. And I think compared to maybe me 10 or 20 years ago, I hope this is true. I'm as excited to go like just join the team, practice for like a week and then go play in a game. But it's the whole process of like being around 22-year-old Brazilian kids who are going to not know what to make of. I mean, that's a really interesting interpersonal dynamic of the average age, being 20 years younger than I am. And so, I think it's going to be about the adventure. And the team's called Lank FC, but it's near Porto, which is a lot of people's favorite place in Portugal. So my brother promises he's coming. I have some friends who say they're going to make it a long weekend in Portugal.
Yeah, I got it. When this starts to man,
Sorry, it's a G450.
Oh, yeah. sorry. G450.
Edit that out.
With
but
the
we
jet
can't
bed in
have
it.
people believing it's a
Jet bed.
G4.
We have covered a lot of ground today, guys. Courtney,
Where can everyone find you?
on.
Pimp yourself
Carter.
out, your Instagrams at Paris and Love.
I think Carter's famous for, have you not posted anything since you got married, or has there been a couple posts now?
I have not posted since I met Paris 4 years ago.
Go buy their book.
Yeah.
Shortcut Your Startup is our book. Been out about 5 years, but I'm always so pleasantly surprised when people say they read it recently and there's still some evergreen wisdom in there. And
Paris book too.
Oh, sorry. Yep. This is Paris memoir. What else we got?
Paris and Love.
Paris
and
and
Love on Peacock.
I'm the only Courtney Reum out there. So if you can't find me on Instagram or LinkedIn, you probably didn't deserve to because it's pretty easy to find me. But
thank you guys for coming on.
M13.
Thank you.
M13.
M13.
Yes, M13.
I'm wearing my
sweat-
M13 sweatshirt.
Yeah.
You don't see a cream M13 sweatshirt.
It's
every
pretty
day.
cute.
I like that.
Thanks.
Thank you guys for taking the time.
Thank you so
both.
much for
Yeah,
having us
thanks.
again.